Back in August of 2022, I was removed from the Inanimate Insanity team. This was publicly announced through Animation Epic on Twitter. While the reasoning for my removal was never directly stated, I was listed as removed underneath a tweet responding to the controversial racist actions of former II crew member Lauren. As a result, I've seen that many fans of II have been under the assumption that I was also fired for committing racist actions or supporting racist actions of other people. I believe that neither of these assumptions are true. I never did anything racist, nor supported any racist actions. This video will go through my side and my personal take on why I was removed from Inanimate Insanity. First, I'm going to have to go into a short backstory, which I'll try to tell as objectively as I can. During the BFDI and II meetup in July 2022, many crew members from BFDI and II were invited to participate. Among those representing II was Lauren Teasell, a graphics designer for II, and Giovanni or Gaigoon, an animator for II. It was not entirely known throughout the crew who would be showing up and who wouldn't be. Following the meetup, Lauren had spoken to someone and said he mistakenly had thought that Gio was Gino, also known as Gene, a former cyberbully of his, and had avoided him because he didn't want to interact with his bully. Word of this spread to Gio and Gino, both who were offended by Lauren's actions. Another II animator, Brian, also known as Bribey, regarded the situation vaguely on Twitter, later with Gino and Gio both affirming everything on Twitter that Lauren committed racist actions by confusing the two of them. After an uproar from the OSC, Lauren takes to Twitter and apologizes for everything that happened, stating that he made a mistake and mixed up or misheard the names Gio and Gino, which caused the confusion. I retweeted Lauren's apology on my Twitter page. There were mixed and negative responses from OSC Twitter, though some of them were mostly unwavering or just meme responses. Gino then posts a lengthy Twitter thread saying he doesn't accept Lauren's apology. Gino then shifts gears to reprimand me for defending Lauren's racist actions and for attempting to silence Gio in DMs to protect the Inanimate Insanity brand. I posted on Twitter clarifying that I did not defend Lauren's racist actions, but that I supported his apology. Furthermore, I stated I apologized to Gio in private for the misunderstanding and not providing support to him better. Later, Animation Epic on Twitter posts a statement that those at the center of the problem have been removed from the show. Hours later, a tweet then clarifies that Lauren, AIM, and myself have been removed. I want to first address the accusations Gino said about me. He accused me of 1. Defending Lauren as a racist and supporting racist actions, and 2. Messaging Gio and attempting to silence him to protect the II brand. Both of these accusations are not true. Number 1. I did not defend or support Lauren's racist actions. I did support his apology. First, I want to clear up something. There has been a ton of misinformation passed around about what Lauren did at the meetup. Many rumor that Lauren had either said something racist or said a racist joke at the meetup. Those rumors are false, as neither of these things happened. The statements from both Gio and Gino, as well as Brian, never stated this happened. This is an entirely made-up accusation that has been the result of misinformation traveling throughout the community. What Lauren did do was misidentify another person. He thought a black person at the meetup was a former bully of his solely by using skin color as the racial identifier. This was the action that was racist. Moving on, many of you would probably ask, why would Taylor support Lauren? Does this mean Taylor is racist or supports racism? Absolutely not. Please allow me to make this as explicitly clear as I possibly can. Whether misguided or intentional, Lauren's racist actions were nothing I ever supported. I supported only his apology and nothing more. I did this only because Lauren was my friend, and he was at rock bottom after being publicly ridiculed on social media. After the controversy had started, Lauren had spoken to me privately. He was in severe distress, and he may have been considering dangerous and potentially suicidal actions. As his friend, this greatly worried me and put me in a tough position. On one hand, he had upset a lot of people, including members of the II crew. But on the other hand, Lauren was my friend, and I did not want to turn my back on him out of fear that he might do something horrible. As his friend of over 5 years, I wanted to be there for him during this tough time because I honestly was worried about his well-being. So once his apology came out on Twitter, I offered my support purely for his apology and not for his actions. While many may not think that there is a difference, I disagree. I believe in the idea that someone can apologize for doing something wrong and be forgiven. I showed support for the apology by doing two things. One, retweeting it, and two, liking a handful of responses that were accepting of his apology or that supported the idea of forgiveness or that condemned the meme responses several people were making towards Lauren's apology. That is the entire extent of my Twitter involvement. I never stated at any time that I supported Lauren's racist actions. This was entirely assumed by Gino and furthermore, by the community. In order to try and clarify that I was not supporting Lauren's actions, I posted later on Twitter where I stated that my reasoning for retweeting his apology and liking responses was to show support for his apology only. So why support my friend apologizing for what he claims is a mistake? I believe in the idea that a person can make a mistake and not be defined by it and punished for it for the rest of their lives. And furthermore, a person who's made a mistake can be forgiven and grow from that mistake. This is a theme heavily represented in Inanimate Insanity in so many of the characters who have made a mistake one way or another. It teaches that these characters are not defined by these mistakes. There is so much more to them than that, and it is represented through the idea that a person can be forgiven and be granted a chance at redemption. I had hoped that the audience would be somewhat understanding. It's important to note that racism can still happen regardless if the person who committed it did it by mistake. Lauren had told me that this was all a misunderstanding and a big mistake on his behalf, and I felt inclined to believe that he didn't do this out of malintent. If I rejected him or ridiculed him more than he already was from the public, I don't know what good that would have done. He could have gone as far to hurt himself, and I did not want that by any means. So instead, I suggested that Lauren break ties with Inanimate Insanity to work on himself. Even though he was my friend and I wanted to be there for him during this difficult situation, I made it clear to him that his actions weren't something that I supported, and furthermore, that I don't support racism ever in any capacity. I've said that I don't support his actions publicly, yet the community has continued to spread more rumors and lies. This has become even more twisted, where some people have falsely stated that I was the one who said something racist or made racist jokes, either on Twitter or at the meetup. All of these are completely and 100% false. I did not say, do, or support anything racist at any time. There is zero evidence of this being true anywhere. This is an entirely made-up rumor by the community through misinformation. Number 2. I did message Gio privately, but I did not attempt to silence him. Before I go on, I want to share that I was given permission from Gio to share these DMs between him and myself through Discord in order to clear up all the misinformation. Above is the first message I sent to Gio after I learned about the situation through Twitter. I reached out to express that I was sorry to hear what had happened at the meetup, and that through meeting thousands of people, we never had the chance to formally meet one another. After sending this, I told Gio that I had wished he came to us directly about Lauren's actions so we could have dealt with it internally. I also said that I had hoped, moving forward, he would feel comfortable enough to approach us if any situation like that happened again, instead of taking it public on Twitter first. Though I sent this intending it to be an assurance of support moving forward, this somewhat intimidated Gio or made him feel worried that I was upset with him for causing this situation, which I wasn't. After Gino falsely accuses me of attempting to silence Gio, I reached out to Gio because there was clearly a huge misunderstanding from my initial message. Gio sent me this, in which he states, I did not directly say any of Gene's words at all, and that he had mentioned in a private conversation that he felt worried but explicitly said he didn't want anyone else knowing because it was meant to be private. From there, someone told Gene behind Gio's back, which led to Gene creating the tweet. None of the words Gene tweeted out came directly from Gio. They were all based on random assumptions. I wrote back to Gio, making sure to clarify that I was not upset with him in the slightest, but I apologized as I recognized that I didn't provide enough support to him, explaining that as Lauren was my friend, the situation was difficult because he was being publicly ridiculed, which in turn was making him suicidal. Additionally, I stated that I had asked Lauren to take a break from II to work on himself, and that while what happened was not okay in the slightest, I hoped there was a reasonable explanation. I again tried to clarify that what I said in my initial message was meant to suggest that Gio could come to us in situations like this for help or support. I also said that I messaged Gene in hopes that he would understand that what he said was not an accurate reflection of me. Gio responded and said he didn't think that stuff about me anyways, and that he was happy I apologized and said that we were cool. I had told Gene that what he said about me was not an accurate description of what I had said to Gio. All of this was based on a random assumption on the information that was privately mentioned to him. Gene says he apologized to Gio, but still makes a post about me saying that I reached out exclusively to protect myself and my brand. To recap, Gio had confirmed in DMs with me that Gino was not allowed to make this statement in the first place, and that the things he said were false because he didn't think that about me in the first place. So in actuality, Gino was just baselessly making these statements against me, and honestly, it's my fault for not defending myself against these accusations in the first place because they are undeniably false. Instead of defending myself, I wanted to apologize because clearly my communication was not done well enough. And even my apology wasn't well communicated because that made even more people confused. That's why I'm making this video, to clear up absolutely everything I can. I apologized because I clearly made myself look like a fool and led fans to believe a horrible lie about me. The last thing I'd want is to upset anyone and make them think that I support something so despicable and wrong. I wrote this while experiencing extreme anxiety, and I recognize that this apology alone is not enough and not well thought out or expressed. I hope that this video can help you, the fans of II, truly see that I did not ever support anything racist. That is not who I am. So why was I fired from Inanimate Insanity? If everything I've stated is true, why was I still fired? There are two main reasons why I believe this happened. The first is that I spoke on behalf of the crew by stating that Lauren was taking a leave from Inanimate Insanity. I made this statement and decision without my crew's knowledge and posted it without their awareness. By doing this, I broke the trust that they had in me as a representative of the show. This was a massive mistake on my end, and I'm still deeply sorry to the crew for acting hastily during what was already a difficult situation. What I should have done was discuss the problems directly with the crew as we normally would do, instead of making a statement without providing the crew the information they needed. As a result, I ended up making the brand look bad by making a mess on Twitter even worse. In the heat of the moment that day, I was panicking intensely because so many fans of II were believing false accusations about me. When I was having an anxiety attack, I felt like I was spiraling and everything around me was collapsing, and I felt I needed to act quickly. But I was hasty. I released a statement that was unknown to the crew and unintentionally caused this entire controversy surrounding Lauren that was already stressing the crew out to become even larger by shifting the focus to myself. Despite my 11 years of contributions to Inanimate Insanity, this controversy that only spanned a few days was enough to decimate my entire involvement because I was unintentionally wrapped up in the controversy of another person for the wrong reasons. I honestly thought I was helping a friend who needed support when he was at rock bottom and suicidal. I instead sparked more controversy that could have been avoided if I had merely said nothing. Before Animation Epic's tweet was posted, I was reassured by Animation Epic that I wouldn't be fired. Rather, I was told that I should probably take a break from Twitter, interacting with fans for a while, and maybe reduce some of my work on the show to be less invested in the production process. I agreed fully to these terms because they all made sense, especially that I needed a break from interacting with fans. I was then given a copy of the message to be shared on Animation Epic's Twitter. I read through this planned statement and personally agreed with it, and I had intended to retweet it on my account as well. However, before I could do this, hours later, in a public tweet underneath this message, my name was listed. This is how I found out I was fired. No one contacted me prior to this decision. What I believe happened is that Animation Epic felt pressured by the community, and therefore changed their stance on my involvement with Inanimate Insanity, as to not be targeted next. This is the second reason why I believe I was fired. I believe that Animation Epic felt that keeping me around was damaging to II's brand image, and didn't want me besmirching their reputation. Despite the fact that the people from the community who wanted me fired were believing false accusations. So this pressure that I believe Animation Epic received was under false notions. To put this all simply, I don't believe I was fired for racism, as I've made it abundantly clear I never supported it. I believe I was fired because I was swept up into this mess of controversy based on false accusations. Then I apologized for it, and ended up making the II brand look bad due to my unintended involvement. And I believe Animation Epic has fired me for the wrong reasons. I am still only human, and unfortunately, that fact is often forgotten by fans and followers of II. Instead, I feel that II crew members are treated akin to celebrities, and it has serious side effects. It's a problem I feel I can safely say a large amount of crew members on II and BFDI can sympathize with. And while we are subject to making mistakes just the same as you, our mistakes are extra amplified by the community's responses, especially the negative. Through false accusations and misinformation, many fans were saying that I was supporting racism. Those very same false accusations and misinformation are what cost me everything, and it is why I believe I have been wrongly removed from Inanimate Insanity. And though I'm still hurt that my friends decided they'd rather protect the brand than have me around, after everything I've provided for 11 years, I know that the pressure from the community heavily contributed to my removal. Some of you might think that me being fired was not such a big deal, but I need to stress this. Inanimate Insanity was not just a job for me. It was so much more. Losing Inanimate Insanity meant losing my friends of over 16 years. It meant losing my passion, losing my reputation, and losing one of the few creative things that made me happy as I grew up. Everything was completely ripped away from me, all because I wanted to be supportive for a hurting friend. I would never ever wish the immense amount of mental and emotional anguish that I've experienced through this on any person ever. My passion for II and my passion to create II for you, the audience, were what kept me going every single day. And now, that very same audience falsely thinks I'm a racist bigot, and I am not. And I will fight to end this ridiculous rumor. Making Inanimate Insanity was my life. Now that's been taken away from me, and my life has been a daily and constant struggle with depression. I've watched as fans have continued to spread hate and false rumors about me. I've had friends who I spoke to every single day who loved to create the same thing I did, and now I've been cut off by everyone. I'm being treated as if I'm a stain on Inanimate Insanity, a show full of love and acceptance and forgiveness that I helped build from almost the very beginning. I do not want this to be my life or my reputation. I want my life back, and I want a second chance. I want to create animations that I love to embody. I want to voice act characters who I love and identify with. I want to work with friends who I love like family and laugh with them over the funniest ideas that we come up with. I've had months of sleepless nights. I've considered everything that's happened. I want to improve and be a better person and learn from all of this. I'm going to say something you might not agree with. I don't think I deserved what happened to me. I know I acted foolishly, and I am still sorry for what I did because it was a mistake. And I'm sorry that I caused everyone to think I was hiding some hidden racist side to me, because that is not true. And I know it's hurt people who looked up to me or have been friends with me. But I need you all to know that these rumors are lies. And I've been paying for this every single day when I wake up and see a fanbase who used to love my work now hates me because of false racist accusations. I want to have my name be cleared and stop being attached to the idea that I'm racist or bigoted. But I want to take accountability for my mistakes of the past. I want to reflect and learn from them. I want to use my fortunate platform to give support to those who need it most. And above all, I want to apologize to those I hurt and to those who I've caused stress and pain to. I recognize my actions have consequences, and I hurt many people even though I didn't intend to. Through this experience, I've learned a lot, and I've seen how unthought actions and blind support for your friends can sometimes lead you off of a cliff you didn't even see coming. Knowing what I know now, I can say with certainty that this was a big learning moment for me, and I'd like to take what I've learned from my mistakes and improve. I imagine some of you have questions, so I've prepared some answers for what I anticipate are the most frequent questions. Why did you lock your Twitter, delete all of your tweets, and private your YouTube? All of these decisions were mine. After the intensity of the situation, I needed a break from everything. Getting Twitter notifications, YouTube notifications, everything that was just people poking fun or sending hate in response to my removal caused my anxiety to spike and began to have serious effects on my mental health. In the over 6 months since, I've gone to therapy, but I've been keeping tabs on these comments still, which falsely accuse me of being racist. This is what made me want to clear the air and make this video. How do you feel about the recasting of Bot and Paintbrush? I'll be honest and say that there's nothing quite like the sensation of witnessing your replacement. When I heard Paintbrush and Bot's new voices, it was really painful. But I've since accepted that this is what II is now, and both Paintbrush and Bot are wonderful characters who I love regardless if I am voicing them or not. I'll say this to the actual performances of both new voice actors. You've both done a splendid job. Particularly to the new voice of Paintbrush, I was very surprised and impressed by how accurate your performance was to mine. What do you think of the new episodes you aren't involved with? The new episodes are still really good. Even though it's painful to not be a part of it, II has had a great 3 episodes thus far that I thoroughly enjoyed. Something that's been an eye-opener for me has been watching II as an audience member. Since the beginning, I've always been in the driver's seat of creating an episode and had my hands involved in every aspect, to the point that I was definitely a bit in over my head. Watching II as an audience member is something I've never done, and it's definitely taught me a lot. Will you be returning to Inanimate Insanity ever? I cannot say for certain right now. If given the opportunity, I would take it in a heartbeat, because I absolutely love making the show no matter what. The show brings me so much joy, and being a part of something so wonderful has always made me a happier person. I find it hard to hold grudges on people, and I don't like to hold people to actions that were made when stress levels were high. And I would be willing to forgive my friends and make amends, and I'm hoping they would do the same for me. Because I believe life is too short to hate, and I don't want to look back and wish I had hated and grudged more. If I can be granted forgiveness, then I can grant that forgiveness right back. Thank you very much for watching, especially if you watched from start to finish. I appreciate you giving me the chance to speak on my behalf. Hopefully the next time anyone hears from me, things are just a little bit better. One can only hope. Thank you so much.